Here we are, Cattober or Inktober week 2. This is the second video I am making. These are going to obviously be the second week of the drawings that I have done through Inktober so far. Hi, I'm Candy. If you guys don't know me, welcome to the channel, but if you've been here for a while, thanks for coming back. And so today's video is gonna actually be week 2 of Inktober, which I am doing alongside my very dear friend Tatty 1907 or quill-and-canvas 1907. You can check out both of our pages. So we are both posting daily on TikTok, and we are both posting on several other pages, which will all be linked down in the description if you want to check those out. But please check out Tatty's page. She is also doing videos like this on her YouTube channel, and they are absolutely a joy to watch, as always. And it's been really fun to just do this challenge with her and our babies in general. And I mean, I'm sure that you all are aware of like what Inktober is and the gist of that. Basically, just to quickly recap, it is obviously a challenge that takes place daily during October. I'm sure pretty much everybody and their grandma knows about this challenge, especially if you're into art and whatnot. But basically, me and Tatty kind of take this as an opportunity to just do OC-tober, which I should clarify because there was actually a comment on one of my videos that said this, that every day is OC-tober for them basically, and honestly I couldn't agree with that more. It's basically OC drawings all the time for me and Tatty as well, but this month, as she stated in her first week's video, it's kind of an opportunity to do something that you wouldn't necessarily think of if you're just kind of like doodling randomly, because we do tend to draw daily unless there's really crazy stuff going on and we're just unable to fully make the time for that. But for the most part, we try to draw daily, and a lot of times, especially if the day has been busy, there'll be like smaller doodles and things like that. So it's a good opportunity to kind of do something different that you wouldn't normally do or that you wouldn't normally think of, and that's kind of thanks to the prompts as well as just the overall vibes that kind of come from Inktober. But yeah, I'm going to talk about more stuff throughout this video, but first of all, let me just say that on screen right now is day 8 for me, and this is Aristeus and Danaeus, and these are 2 of our god characters. And for this prompt, I actually wanted to focus on just a tender moment between them. The prompt for that day is dawn, and dawn is like, it has a lot of associations with them because it's actually the title of one of the sections of storylines that has to do with them that me and Tatty are currently working on, which is always very exciting to say. But dawn, I decided to do them because Aristeus, so the very golden boy that you see here, he was originally made by Tatty, and he is known as the Dawn Painter and the god of the sun, of course. And so he basically paints the sky every morning, every night, and in general has control over the sun and how it works because, like I said, he is the sun god and Danaeus is his little moon god. And so I wanted to do something that just focused on that. This image popped in my head, so I could only assume, really, and I said this in my shorter video, that they really wanted me to draw this and feature them in this way. So I had a lot of fun doing this and just kind of working with the different shadows and making it really dramatic and sweet, just sweet and soft. They are so in love, and I just cannot emphasize that enough, and so I will never miss an opportunity to draw them together in this way. And yeah, just being cute. There's so much to say about them, obviously, but I'll definitely get more chances throughout this challenge and in general as we share more stuff. But another thing that I want to say about them though is that this is like during a time where they can kind of just be chill and relaxed, and I think that there is like a period of time where they kind of just get to, again, just be calm and not have to worry about too many other things, although they do face a lot of crazy drama in various aspects. And this is something that we actually have in the works right now, so not all of the details are in my personal head at the moment yet, but I think this is at a time where Aristeas is also kind of showing Danaus various things about the godly realm. This is probably, in my head, this is probably around the time, like right after he helps Danaus ascend, I think. Although you'll notice a lot of my pictures are kind of almost kept a little bit vague as far as when they happen, unless of course it's like something incredibly blatant or like, you know, time-wise really obvious when it is. But yeah, I think this is like kind of vague, but again, in my head it kind of happens probably around the time a little bit after Danaus ascends with the help of Aristeas, and so he's kind of showing him different stuff. And Tatty actually mentioned that Aristeas really likes to show off for Danaus, and I think that's absolutely adorable, because I said in the short video that like Aristeas doesn't have to do much to show off for Danaus. He thinks he's literally so wonderful and amazing and awesome in every possible way, so anything that he shows him is just like, Danaus is like, holy Lord, oh my god, oh my you. So yeah, every single thing that he shows him, it just has him in awe, and just in general, he as a being has him in awe. So yeah, I thought that was really cute. Danaus has always just been a very curious and intrigued person. Like, he is always interested in any new thing he can learn, and so that does not change about his personality when he ascends to be with Aristeas as gods. He just finds way more things to be intrigued by, specifically with Aristeas. He's incredibly devoted to him and has always been incredibly devoted to him, so getting to learn all of these things about somebody he deeply, deeply admires is also just so wild in the best ways for him. But yeah, I am pretty happy with how it turned out. I've been trying this time to really push shadows and some different effects that I wouldn't do before. I still need practice on some of the things, on many of the things to be fair, but I've been trying to really play with like lighting and things like that, so that was a good opportunity to do that with this picture. Up on screen now is Akihiko. This is a character that is one of our vampire characters. So again, I always kind of reiterate this in videos, but again, in case you're new and haven't heard me say it before, basically we have a bunch of different storylines, and those storylines all kind of connect in various ways. And so we have a universe where various types of beings kind of all exist and coexist and are in different areas and specific realms, etc., etc. We have god characters, we have demon characters, we have like angels and other types of like eons and things like that. And vampires are something that exists throughout our universes and realms. And so Akihiko comes from a plotline where there are various vampires in a mansion all together, and the way that they came together is through different various means, but they all have one sort of connecting point, that they came together and they stay in the mansion together, but they are all completely like separate and have their own storylines before they got to the mansion. And so they all kind of are like a mismatched crew of vampires who became vampires at very different times and in very different ways. And Akihiko so Akihiko and Bethiel are a couple. And Bethiel is someone who Tatty originally made. She actually drew them together for one of the prompts as well on her page, and they're absolutely gorgeous and adorable together. And honestly, I really hope I get a chance to do something with him as well. But Akihiko and Bethiel are a couple, and they're actually the oldest vampires in the household. So they became vampires like a while ago. And to give you like a general perspective on that, like Akihiko was doing stuff during like the Edo period, and Bethiel was even slightly before that. And then they wind up meeting where Akihiko is staying on the little mountainside, and there is a lot of like drama in relation to the backstory for Akihiko and Bethiel, but they both faced really intense things and then got together and kind of bonded, and then they wind up getting married like way early, and so they are actually an official couple, officially married, and they're absolutely precious. So this picture was kind of showing off like what he would have worn around the time that he started growing happier. And in his hand are Lily of the Valley flowers, which mean returned happiness, I think. And so that is kind of supposed to be showing that off, and just focusing on his returned happiness, especially after he met Bethiel. So yeah, I really like how it turned out. I had a lot of fun playing with the wispiness of it and like the fluid motions. He's supposed to be very like feminine and graceful, and I wanted to show off in his style that he kind of mixes the two cultures that he originally came from and feels close to. He is half Japanese and half Chinese, and he lives in Japan for a very long time, but he takes inspiration for like his style and various aspects about him from both things. So yeah, although I did want to mention that he wouldn't have necessarily worn that as like the wedding one. It's more just to kind of depict the happiness after that. So that's why I said around the time that they get married, because I actually think he probably would have went with like the traditional Chinese colors, like red, for the marriage and stuff. So, but yeah. So that was day 9, and day 9, I'm sorry, I'm like all over the place. Day 9 was graceful, so I thought he fit that prompt. And I said this in the short video, but a lot of our characters fit the word graceful, as well as just the various vampires in the household. So it was hard choosing, but I thought that it was fun and turned out pretty neat. So. But to be fully fair, Akihiko and Bethiel haven't really fully had their chance to kind of shine yet. To be entirely fair to everyone, they all really need their chance to shine as far as like their different backstories and the part that they play in the other kind of like main storyline, where we see Ilya and Luther and the others kind of like all interacting. But I thought it would be fun to do Akihiko again. Like I said, the prompt fits all of them technically, but Akihiko, I really try to focus on the like feminine and fluid side of him, because Akihiko is actually, I have been referring to him as him, but he technically goes by all pronouns. So he'll go by him, he'll go by her, he'll go by them. It really doesn't make a difference to him. He just is and exists and enjoys doing so. I think that he's proud of all of the aspects of himself, so he doesn't like feel that way for any strange reason. But I definitely think for the most part he really tends to get in touch with his feminine side while also still appreciating the aspects of himself that are male. And I think it just varies day by day whether he prefers a certain way to be called or not. And I think he's perfectly comfortable with all versions. So yeah, but like I said, I think he focuses more on the feminine side. And so being graceful is something that he has kept with him all the way from his like super early days of what, he did before. I actually think that he was for a long time involved with like geisha and that type of work and like the art of that and the costuming and everything. And so the elegance aspect is something that has always stuck with him, as well as other traditions from both cultures. Like I said, I think that he tries really hard to kind of incorporate both of his cultures. And then of course, like any of the special things that Bethiel likes to do from his own personal like preferences and like personal life traditions and things like that. So I don't know, I think that they're really cool and dynamic. I can't wait to show them off some more, and just getting to do something that was like this. I've been trying to work on dynamics and stuff, and I actually have been asking Tatty quite a lot to help me with body positioning and like fluid motions, because she's so good at putting weight to a picture. I've always thought that about her, is that she like weights the characters really well. They always look like they're actually in a scene and have substance to them, and they always look like they're really natural and not stiff at all. So I often ask her for help, and this is another thing I'm trying to work on through the challenge, is not making characters look super stiff, or to kind of like push the poses is what she kind of told me to do. So I've been trying to do that even with quote unquote like simple ideas like him just standing here. But yeah, I like the way it turned out and the colors and everything. So Okay, so day 10 is Wing, and Wing is very significant to Terrence and Goylin, to Goylin specifically, obviously, because as you can see, Goylin is the one who has the wings, of course. But without giving too many spoilers, there's basically sort of an affliction that Goylin has with his wings when he comes to the kingdom of Hylera. So Goylin was not originally in the kingdom where Terrence is the prince. He actually comes from Abrularenth, which is the Gorgon lands, and from there well, I don't know all the full details, but I know that he was fighting in the war that was happening between like the various lands, especially around the Empire of Shasan. And after one of like the big major battles that took place, Goylin was actually captured for a little bit. Well, not a little bit at all. It was not a little bit. But yeah, he was captured and taken to a place that he spent a very long time, almost like nearly, like I think it was like 8 years, I'm pretty sure. But yeah, during that time, he had something that basically was put onto his wings to kind of bind him and make sure that he couldn't fly away, of course, since he was taken as a prisoner, unfortunately. And so he has these on his wings for that full 8 years. He's able to do various things even while having them on his wings. And he doesn't always have the bindings restricting him because he's able to fight in the scenarios that they are in. But it's obviously something that's not supposed to be on wings in general. And it just kind of was a form of extra control that had been put onto him. So later on, when he comes to Hylera, there is some time where Terrence is kind of speculating what is up with his wings, what is up with him in general, and he's been kind of having these dreams and visions. And Terrence is actually someone who I described in his shorter video on his prompt day. He does not use magic, and he tends to kind of actually stay away from magic. And this is because there's actually a curse that goes through his family that affects him pretty badly, especially when he's around magical things and magical elements. So in Esmeralda, everybody has auras, and I've talked a little bit about Esmeralda even in the previous video, but everybody has auras, so everybody has magic in them and is able to basically like hone those skills and cultivate those skills. And Terrence even has the ability to use his aura, but he tries not to because he is absolutely terrified that anything that he does in relation to being around magic is going to affect him negatively, which is true to an extent, because it does tend to have effects on him, but not in the way that he thinks. But either way, there is... He keeps having these dreams of these specific runes that come from like dark guilds and stuff, and so he keeps having these dreams of these like symbols that he is unsure of. And so basically, long story short, he tries to look into those and winds up finding out that they are actually in relation to the bindings that Goylin has on his wings. So I won't give too many spoilers or backstory there, but that's basically the gist. And so this picture is inspired by after the time where they are able to kind of do something about that, which I won't explain because that is very intense and dramatic and very cool. So yeah, this is showing the aftermath of them helping him and being able to help him. And Terrence is just so incredibly happy, like he will literally cry happy tears, because when he found out that Goylin was dealing with this in the first place, he cried many not happy tears. So yeah, he was absolutely devastated when he learned that about Goylin and felt so bad. And so this is them after they've been able to help him and like free him of these bindings. And Terrence is so proud and so happy that Goylin is just like safe and okay and is now able to do something that he should have been able to do the entire time. But yeah, I just wanted to kind of show off that very warm and sweet moment between them in that regard. Another small thing I wanted to mention is that I keep kind of like going a little extra on the skies that I am drawing for like Esmeralda based things, because the realm is supposed to be adjacent to like our Earth realm, and so they have like some different things, and so it's kind of fun to just play with that and add that as well, just as a fun little extra note. but I had fun making it even more like glittery and like whimsical, I guess, since their skies and galaxies would be kind of different. So yeah. Day 11 is Masquerade, and I have decided to draw two of our characters that have been around for a while. And to be fair, a lot of our characters have actually been around for a while, and some of them just haven't gotten drawn or haven't gotten the attention they deserve just yet. But hopefully, as we continue to go, everybody will kind of get a little bit of spotlight and, you know, keep things rolling. But these two characters are in relation to Vogel and the town of Vogel. Again, if you've been on the page for a long time, you probably recognize that name or title a little bit, but these two are actually part of like the main three couples in that story. So the main three are Cyan and Sasha, Alizur and Noir, and then Chartreuse and Arlide. And that's who I am drawing here. And the reason I actually initially chose them, and I've actually been having a thing where a lot of these images kind of flash in my head and I'm like, okay, maybe they want maybe they want the attention and they want me to draw this specific thing. So I decided to draw them because I also actually haven't drawn them in this setting yet. So compared to the other two main couples, I have already drawn them even several times in the setting of Masquerade, which is a significant thing in their story because it's something that they have annually. They have this very big Masquerade ball annually where like the entire town attends, and there's always usually something incredibly crazy that happens there. But it's also a place where Alizur and Noir have kind of made names for themselves as these like vigilante type characters that go through the town and are always kind of on the prowl and attack when necessary, when they deem necessary. And so they also are known to be at this masquerade, and so people are always kind of hoping something interesting will happen there, and usually something crazy happens. So yeah. But I wanted to make this like extra whimsical because in my head, I feel like the masquerade, they kind of just go all out for like whatever theme they decide to use, and any of like the staging of it and the props of it. I just think that they usually go big. And so I decided to kind of depict that idea here. And even in their costumes, I wanted to do something that was like big and extravagant. I've mentioned before in the previous video that I have been trying to get better at clothing and like folds and making stuff look a little more natural, like it's actually laying on the body in natural ways and forming around the curves in natural ways. So I tried my best with that here. I think I did okay. And one of the things I found funny and neat was that I actually used, so in my paint program, I use Medibang Paint. I don't know. I use Medibang Paint Pro, I guess, because I did like pay for the little plan they have, which is kind of weird, but that's besides the point. So I made myself a little panel of color swatches because you can make like custom color palettes, which is a whole chore, honestly. They could have made that thing like way easier than it is, but either way, I made myself color palettes, and it's actually the Copic colors. So on her dress, I actually used the legit color called Chartreuse, and I don't know, I just think that's a fun, silly little detail that I did there. But come to think of it, I actually also used the base color of Arlide for his hair as well, which is funny because it's actually always more dull than I think that it is. I don't know why, I always think it's going to be a little brighter than it actually is, but yeah. Oh my gosh, and another silly stupid thing about that is that I typed in the color code instead of just swatching it, because sometimes it's like inaccurate if you just swatch it, and I looked at Tatty and I was like, imagine that actually working, which is really funny and stupid because obviously that's what the color code is there for, but for some reason, I don't know, I always think it's not going to work. So yeah, fun little fact. But back to the point, these two have not had their chance to shine, but they are part of the main three, like the couples. And if you weren't able to gather that from like old videos and stuff like that, and because it hasn't been super recent that it's been shown in this way, but the three main couples are related to like the three main colors on, you know, in like the color spectrum. So it's red, yellow, and cyan or blue, you know, cyan. and blue. Basically they're supposed to relate to those. So whether it's magenta, yellow, and cyan, or red, blue, and yellow, that's what they're supposed to relate to. And so obviously Ari would be the color of yellow, but I actually decided to put him in a color that was more representing of her, because I think it reflects the personalities a little bit more and how he would be okay wearing a costume like this. Ari is incredibly awkward, and he's very like, what do you want to say? I guess like boyish, man-like, if that makes sense. He's very rough around the edges and very serious and very awkward when it comes to kind of interacting, especially with women, especially with beautiful women. Well, like extra beautiful women who are like very extravagant and forward and like confident in themselves, because all women are beautiful. But yeah, so he just so happens to meet Chartreuse in the setting of the tavern that they have there, because that's where she works. And so she is obviously much more forward and much more confident in herself. And so she tries to initiate stuff with him first, and he's just incredibly awkward. He thinks she's absolutely gorgeous, but he's awkward, and he's kind of somewhat into like disciplined training and stuff like that, which is constantly ongoing for him. And so he is kind of adverse a little bit, but that's kind of not the right word. It's like, it's not that he doesn't want to get into a relationship, it's that he's like very nervous and very awkward. So, and he also has a bit of like a strange past and things that he's kind of like linked to. So I think that that's another thing that kind of makes him nervous to associate with anybody as far as a relationship at first. But, you know, obviously this is like a thing that develops mostly just because he is awkward, like I said. But yeah, I thought that their costuming in this way would kind of show their personalities in that regard, because she definitely, basically it's like she has him wrapped around her finger. Like, he is awkward, he is serious, he is like, don't talk to me, whatever, I'm a tough guy, but she immediately cracks that rough surface. So yeah, I hope that that kind of shows their dynamics in this, even in their positioning and everything. But I also wasn't sure about what I wanted to do for the background initially for this one, but I do think it actually came out pretty cool, pretty fun, pretty whimsical, and that's what I was going for. I'm a sucker for checkered floors and like checkered patterns. I cannot get enough of it, I'm gonna be honest. And it's kind of inspired by Persona 3 a little bit, so anybody who's familiar, I kind of was inspired by that for the background and the checkered floor, like the velvet room and stuff. So yeah. Day 12 is, the prompt is children, and you might recognize these two. Again, if you've been on both of our pages for a long time, you might recognize these sweet little squishy babies. I absolutely adore them, and obviously pretty much every single character that we have can fit the prompt of children, because at some point they were children, or they, you know, have children, or it's a focus in like the storylines. But I decided to go with Frederick and Fabrizio because it's just a very cute, like kind of whimsical prompt, I thought. And I have drawn them as children before in other, I don't think I did it during challenges. I think I just did it randomly, but I've drawn them before in kind of even some similar settings where they're sharing this little scarf and being out in the snow. Snow is something that's like really associated with them, because even in like Tatty's old pictures, she often did scenes that would be like set out in the snow like that, if that makes sense. And so I thought it would be cute to just draw them standing at like, you know, even their little bus stop or something like that. Because one thing about them is that when they are younger, and probably even younger than the age that I've drawn them at, I kind of left it vague what age they are, because just to add to kind of the whimsy of that. But when they're really young, Fabrizio moves with his family to a different place, to a place where he can't really speak the language that well. And so Frederick is the first friend that he makes there, and Frederick is also the person that teaches him how to communicate better and, you know, be able to speak and converse and whatever. And so obviously, you know, Fabrizio kind of catches a little crush from that, which I think is absolutely adorable. And, you know, as they grow, they just become really, really close friends, and Fabrizio's crush grows even a little bit more. And there's a long period of time where Frederick is a little bit dense and he doesn't realize that Fabrizio likes him more than a friend. And I don't know, I just think their entire dynamics are super cute. I don't want to say too much about them because Tatty is the one that originally made both of them, and so she knows them even deeper than I can, although I feel like I know them pretty well because I've been a huge fan of them for a really, really long time. I absolutely love them, and some things have kind of shifted and changed with all of our characters for the better in a lot of ways, or at least just is very different from some original ideas that both of us have had for, you know, characters that we've both originally made. And I hope Tatty feels that same way, but I certainly think that, so hopefully she agrees. But yeah, I truly admire her ability to create characters and their lore, and just everything she does I think is really, really freaking cool. So yeah, there is that. But I think that a lot of cool additions have been added to various characters, and even more intense situations than either of us originally thought for characters that were like originally designed by one person or the other. And so another aspect that I really love and enjoy about Frederick and Fabrizio that kind of got hidden for a little bit, but now we've brought it back officially and it is like here to stay, is that Frederick is actually an angel and Fabrizio is actually a demon. So with how our lore works, there's obviously much more to this explanation than I'm giving, but basically they are those types of beings, and so their relationship is like taboo on some levels. We don't have exact same lore as a lot of other stories where it's like completely taboo and horrible for them to do it. It is taboo kind of, but again, that's kind of another explanation for another time. But something very cool that Tatty told me, and again, I mentioned this, there's various things that I've mentioned in the short videos just because I want to reiterate them here because I think it's cool, but she basically said that this scarf, this is originally Frederick's scarf, and it she told me that it's actually technically like a celestial device. She's decided that that is what it's going to be, and I think that is so awesome, and I keep repeating it now because I think that is such a cool idea that it's like a device from his, like, you know, divine whoever he answers to, or like, you know, the realm that the angel type of beings originally come from, which I'm saying this as if I don't know. I do know, but again, it would be way too much to explain right now. But yeah, so aside from all that, I just think they're neat, which you know, they are. Look at them, they're so squishy. And so also another small detail that I added was that he is holding the Ugly Duckling book. I changed the title a little bit just to be different for our particular character universe, but the cover of the book is actually the particular Ugly Duckling I had when I was a kid, and so I thought it was cute. I love the storybook style, so I tried to kind of do that here. And yeah, I just think that they're waiting at their little bus stop for either Frederick's dad or older brother to come get them, or Fabrizio's older brother to come get them and walk them home or bring them home, or both of them. Maybe all of them are coming to get the kids, but who knows. But yeah, I don't know, I like how it turned out. I did a different method for this one where I, instead of doing like the line art and then flatting and then coloring and shading and all that, I actually merged the sketch with the colors and then kind of shaded and cleaned up the sketch. So I actually really like how it turned out, and you'll see that I use this method more going forward, and I've been continuing to use it after like the next 2 days as well. So I had a fun time coloring it, and I just think they're so adorable and squishy, and I want to smooch their little chubby cheeks. I have adored them for so long, and there's so much to say about them and just Tatty's ability to create characters and their stories and details, and I don't know, yes, I just love them. Ooh! The next prompt is for day 13, and the prompt is song. So I figured that I would draw our characters Sonia and Iris, and something so freaking cool about them right now is that so Tatty and me, like we've been working behind the scenes, her more so than me. She has been like absolutely like doing so many cool things, and then I am so excited to be able to help out in ways that I can. But we actually have like the outline for their story and like the detailed outline for their story, and so I am super excited because, as you might know, maybe you don't know, I'm not sure, next month is NaNoWriMo, and I am absolutely stoked for NaNoWriMo. I think we're both kind of itching to get into that. November is probably going to be a pretty hectic month as far as like personal life things and stuff, but I am putting out good energy into the universe. Everything is going to be fantastic. It's going to be great. Everything is going to be awesome, and NaNoWriMo is going to be awesome. So there is no other option. There's no option for it to not be great. It is going to absolutely be great for absolutely everything going on as well. But yeah, I'm excited because once we get into NaNoWriMo stuff, we are planning on working on more of our detailed outlines and writing for the actual like novels and stuff in general. So I'm I am so incredibly excited for that. But yeah, so anyways, that huge tangent just to say that we have their outline, and so this is actually inspired by something later on in their story. It's not technically a spoiler. I guess the only thing that's like a spoiler is kind of the hairdo that Iris has. So this is Soohyun, or Iris, up in the like the top portion, and in the lower portion is Sanya. And these two meet at the Amethyst Club, basically, and Iris is not really in a very good position. He's kind of been doing his due diligence and doing what he can to kind of manage his situation and survive his situation, but he is kind of clouded in the sense that it's like his normal is the only normal he's known, so he doesn't fully realize that things could be better until he meets Sanya, and he begins absolutely thriving once he meets Sanya. But of course there is drama in the club, and they kind of have this little bit of like forbidden love, kind of. Basically the person who Soohyun works for is not very nice about the relationship that he starts forming with Sanya, and there's a whole issue with that because Iris is actually like, you know, the main attraction a lot of times at the club, and so this just makes a lot of heat and drama between the one that he's working for and just in general, like problems with the customers and yada yada. I'm super excited to share their story and work on their story. I think it's going to be super fun and interesting, and Sanya, especially throughout what we've edited thus far and seen thus far, he is absolutely adorable. We've also done some roleplay with them to kind of like get a feel for their voice and everything like that, which is something we tend to do a lot, and I absolutely adore doing, which again I'm super excited for in NaNoWriMo. But yeah, just what we've seen of him so far has been absolutely delightful, and their dynamics together, like they definitely have strong chemistry, and honestly that's something I'm really proud of among like all of our characters, is that they have great chemistry, and anytime that we kind of run into issues with finding their voice or things like that, we tend to kind of, you know, switch up the role plays and try different scenarios until we're kind of settled into that. But a lot of times I think for both of us, and I'm sure that many of you can relate, is that you have kind of like the inner voice of the characters inside your own head, and so they kind of tell you what they like, what they don't like, what they want to do and what they don't want to do. So that definitely is a very cool thing and a very cool way to see how they wish to be portrayed, basically. But yeah, I kind of went a little bit more with an abstract vision for this, I guess. It's almost a little bit more like what you would see in like a comic panel, I suppose, because obviously like the angle of it and everything is supposed to be Sanya looking up at Iris or Soohyun. At this point, he is more so called that. Iris is more of like the stage performer name. But yeah, this is, I'm sorry, I didn't even talk about the scene. Again, I got so excited, but basically the scene is depicting later parts of the book where Soo-hyun reveals a song that he has written for Sanya. And I don't think this is the first song that he ever wrote for him or made for him through their, especially like, you know, from the time that they met up until when things start to settle down and he can be more creative. But I do think it's the first one that he is like properly revealing to him, and during a big deal thing, because it's during one of Sanya's art gallery events, because he is an artist. And I think it's cute that they're kind of like each other's muses and each other's courage and encouragement to push more for the things that they want to do instead of getting stuck in things that they quote unquote have to do. I think that's a huge message in their story, and I absolutely adore that, and I absolutely love them. They have like the greenest flag relationship from the very start, so that's very cute. I think a lot of our characters have very green flag relationships, honestly. But yeah, all in all, I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. I wish I could do Soo-hyung's hair a little bit more justice, but I think Sanya came out absolutely adorable, and the hair and all that is just kind of stuff that I will have to practice as we go along, of course. Okay, and moving on to the final Inktober art day for this video in particular. This is day 14, and this prompt for today is past, so like in the past or past tense, or you know, whatever, the word past. So I actually decided to draw our characters Matvey and Solomon, and again, if you've been around on the pages for a while, you might recognize them even from the little comic that we had been publishing for a while, which, exciting news about that, if you guys like Happiness Is You as the comic, we are going to be reworking it and structuring it in a way that fits much better with the authenticity of the characters and their storylines and lore. We're going to be like fixing that and changing that. I'm putting all the good energy out there. I want to speak it into the universe. We all should. Speak your projects into the universe. Speak your good times into the universe. So Tatty and me, let's push that good energy out. That's what we're doing. We're speaking our projects into the universe. But yeah, Matvey and Solomon originally come from the comic we were publishing, Happiness Is You. And so this picture kind of has layers of meanings. It's like an onion. No, sorry. It has layers of meanings because not only is it something in their personal hearts and growth to kind of be like, the past doesn't matter, things that happen in the past don't matter, what you're associated with or things that happen to you are not changing the way that I see you, or they're not changing your value as a person, basically. That's a huge theming for them. And I also actually wanted to do this picture in this way because to me, it is also like, we had a lot of hiccups as we were working on this project for many various reasons, to which I won't get into. Most of the hiccups kind of were from my side, and the fact that we hadn't fully had the proper chance to explore them entirely. I think there was a lot of different things going on, a lot of different pressures, and again, just a lot of details that I won't delve too deep into at this moment, but yeah. I kind of wanted to make it to go along with the prompt, this specific prompt, because I wanted to start anew for them and to have them have that meaning of the word really be put into this picture. And I kept it simple and focused on them because my whole idea around it is basically like, not only are they saying that about each other, that like the past doesn't matter, but also we're past the struggle, we're past the upsetness that came with everything. You can get past your struggles and obstacles the same way I feel like we are and have in relation to their story and like the lore around them. So again, it's really simple, but I went in with the idea of making it for that reason. Again, not only did they overcome things of their past, but I think past mistakes or past hiccups or past obstacles that we have faced faced while making their story and trying to make their lore, I think that we have kind of overcome, and we're able to breathe new life into this project and hopefully depict their lore completely properly this time and not have to hold anything back about them. Quickly about them, since I yapped about that for a minute, is that I wanted to say obviously the backgrounds, I went with rainbow, I went with hearts, I gave them clothes that are wearing like, you know, each other's colors for the hearts. I really wanted to focus on who they are and what they are as people. I think that a huge theme that still comes through in the lore and will come through in like the story itself as well is that Solomon is really struggling with his identity and not being able to fully express himself and be himself, whereas Metvei has not really had to answer to that aspect of himself, being, you know, having the interest and the love interest that he has, but he's had other struggles that he has to overcome, and both of them are still overcoming even, you know, as they progress in their story and in their personal like lore and personal lives, of course. But it's like I wanted to kind of depict the idea that they help each other grow, they are there to support each other, and, you know, regardless of any of the other things that they face, it's them. They're together, they will be there for each other, and, you know, just obviously that they're deeply in love and really care for each other, like, immensely. And, you know, have for a very long time. And that obviously also carries over into once they have children and make their little family and, you know, keep their loved ones close to them. So I just think that they're really sweet. Again, I won't give too many spoilers as far as like deep lore goes for them, but I'm really excited to share more about them and to get to show those connections through their story and through the other various connecting stories that we have. Because Metvei, I always make sure to mention this, but Metvei is actually friends with Lessa and Damien, so they're like literally friends since childhood. And actually Solomon is childhood friends with Frederica and Fabrizio as well, and they're still friends, of course, along with other characters that are through our various storylines. So yeah, I love them a lot. We love them a lot. We love all of our babies. And that is, again, the final day for this particular video. So I hope you enjoyed watching the process of these pictures done in a little bit of a slower way. As I said before and mentioned earlier in the video, we both have TikTok pages, Tatty and myself. We have TikTok pages and we've been posting daily short little clips of these drawings and actually voicing over those videos as well. So if you didn't get enough of the yapping, you can hear it over there as well. And that goes for Tatty as well, because I know that she likes to listen to these as I love to listen to hers as well. So there's that. There's more yapping to listen to. And of course, please check out her YouTube videos that she's doing similar to this, because her yap sessions are even more in depth and she has a lot more of the lore figured out, whereas I'm a little dumb sometimes, so you'll hear even more details and cool stuff from her. So please check out her videos as well. She has 2 of them up already as well, so yay. And I'm really excited for more, obviously. But otherwise, I hope that you like the pictures as well. For anybody who watched this far, congratulations, have some cookies. I had a lot of fun making these, and even though it is a struggle and some days I wake up super tired, we both kind of do. I'm sure anybody who's doing this challenge kind of experiences this as well, is that there's really a push to like keep going and keep working on big pictures, especially if you're choosing to do it in this way. Not everybody does it in this way where they do fully finished pictures all the time or every day, but this is the way that we like to do it in particular. It's gonna feel really good at the end of the month to have all of these completed pieces. I know that it is, but it really is a little bit of a struggle. I think honestly the bigger struggle is actually doing the posts and editing together stuff to be fully fair. Like, drawing the pictures is difficult and it does take a lot of effort in many ways, but I do think that the posting aspect and stuff is actually the thing that slows stuff down a little bit, but it's still fun. It's still nice to do. And again, it's really awesome at the end of the month to be able to look back and see everything that you accomplished along the way. So, and I'm not gonna lie, I love getting spoiled, especially seeing all of the amazing pieces that Tatty is doing, so that is also a very great fun motivator. But that is it for now. I hope that you enjoyed this video. Again, if you watched until now, thank you so much. Please check out both of our pages everywhere. All the links are down in the description, and I hope you enjoyed week 2. We will be back again next time for week 3 of Inktober. I hope all of you are having a lot of fun during this month if you are participating as well, or whatever you're doing in general. I hope you're having a fun, spooky month full of warmth and autumn good vibes. Also, don't forget to share with us what you're working on as well if you want to, wherever that may be. And if you still feel like using our list, it's never too late to just do any of the prompts randomly. So yeah, please check out our pages for that as well. And we will see you again in the next video. So thank you so much and take care for now. I forgot the fucking prompt again because I'm an idiot. Let's make sure we're still recording. That would suck, guys. Okay.